Fired up just being here with you, Rabbi.
We always are fired
Let's do it. That's true. Hine matov.
Hine matov u'manayim she'erachim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim she'erachim gam yachad.
You repeat after us.
How good.
How good. Yeah.
It is.
It is. To be
together.
We sing together.
How good.
Oh, you crush it.
It is to be together. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, where are your hands?
Yeah, it's a workout this Friday night. Here we go. Hine
matov u'manayim she'erachim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim she'erachim gam yachad. How good it is to be together.
One more time.
How good it is to be together. Here we go. Whoa, 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 whoa.
You have to make sure your body's ready as well as your mind and your spirit.
Now, I don't like that I can't see on Zoom who was actually doing that, but
they were. I can tell.
You get extra points going into the new year. Come on. Pressure's on. You want to be written in the book of life? Okay. So, just another little bit of welcome. I would like to invite everybody, wherever you are, to take a nice deep breath. The sun is still very much with us, but we are soon entering into Shabbat time. And for our community, we are entering into Shabbat time right now at the end of a week. A week in which our eyes and ears and hearts and minds and souls have been filled with really hard news from around the world. A week in which I hope you have had some moments of beauty and joy and wonder and connection. And I hope that this Shabbat will be like a reservoir or it will be a reservoir that you fill to fill you up to go into another week of doing whatever we can in this world to help and to heal, to bring individuals and all people in this world to wholeness. So from wherever we are coming, we might have had a wonderful week. Maybe we're on vacation and we're zooming in from there. Maybe we're feeling stressed. Maybe we're feeling anxious as we look to the start of the school year, as we deal with the Delta variant. From wherever you are coming, emotionally, spiritually, Jewishly, right now we are a sacred community, a Kehila Kedosha. Even if we can't see each other, all of us, we are holding each other up. We are bound together by invisible thread of connection to tradition, to our history, to our people's story. And through ancient words and melodies and newer melodies like the one we just sang, I hope we feel a sense of connection and that we get filled up on a soul level tonight and with Shabbat. So we're going to light candles. The candle blessing is on page 2. And I invite you to set a kavanah, an intention, for this Shabbat. This next 25 hours, let's say. What is most important for you to replenish yourself, to fill up that reservoir, to receive what our sages called the neshama yetera, the additional soul? What do you need? What do you need to bring forward in this next day, this evening to evening of Shabbat? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. May everyone here know the blessings of Shalom this Shabbat. I wanted to ask for any Simcha shout-outs, any beautiful, happy occasions that you may have experienced in the last week or maybe more than the last week that you'd like to share with the community, that you can share that on Zoom. We can see what comes into the chat, or you can share if you're here with us under the tent. And also, I would love to hear from a few folks something that you are grateful for, that something could be very small, that you are feeling grateful for from the past week. Simcha shout-out wise, I believe someone under this tent has a birthday today. Is that correct? So sorry to embarrass you, Jessica, but happy birthday to you. Yom Huledet Sameach, Mazel Tov. Ad 120, as we say, should live to 120, at least. All right, so I had a birthday in my family. I personally did not have a birthday, but my middle son, Ami, turned 13 yesterday. Woo! That is mind-boggling. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay. Others, a moment of gratitude or a simcha you'd like to share, and anyone on Zoom is welcome as well. Susan.
So my daughter-in-law and grandson from Japan were reunited with my son here in the United States.
Wow.
Wonderful, Susan. That is fabulous. Anyone else? Anyone on Zoom? All right. So I invite you to think about it over the course of the service, right? Really connect. You might have overlooked some moments, right? We all do. Moments that actually, when you stop to think about it, might bring you a sense of awe and wonder and gratitude. All right, we're going to move into Shalom Aleichem, welcoming the messengers of peace. Josh will lead us. We'll be on page 24.
Larry says, grateful for the opportunity to reunite with 4 dear friends for the first time in 2 years.
Wow, that is
awesome,
wonderful.
Larry.
That is what we might say is a machaya, a life-giving, wonderful experience. That's
awesome.
Wonderful, Larry.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zechem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We'll turn to page 13 and sing one of the psalms that the Kabbalists, the mystics of the Middle Ages, decided we should use to welcome in Shabbat. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Let's sing to Adonai a new song. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Let all the land, all the earth sing out to God. Let everything that lives, we see this theme in so much of our liturgy, let everything that is know that it is part of a sacred whole that is woven together, so interconnected in ways that we often don't remember. So let's sing out. We're on page 13. We'll sing some of the lines of Psalm 96. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו בכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים, כי כל אלוהי העמים אלילים, ואדוני שמיים עשה, הוד והדר לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו. ילאי לי לי לי, ילאי לי ילאי לי, ילאי לי לי לי, ילאי לי לי.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Good to see you here in person and on Zoom. This has been a busy week at Temple Ohabei Shalom. We have had our teacher orientation week, welcoming teachers and parents for our preschool, the Trust Center for Early Education. And today, Rabbi Berkman and I had the pleasure of learning about the value of Haknasat Orchim, or welcoming, greeting guests. And one of the teachings that we learned together was about if you bring a gift to somebody, it doesn't matter how valuable that gift is. If you don't bring it with a smile, you haven't actually done your job correctly. And if all you have to give is a smile, then that is enough. And it's somewhat ironic to be learning about this in a time when we're all wearing masks and we can't see each other's beautiful faces. But I do believe that deeply we are able to convey the essence of our meaning and our smile, even if we can't see each other's faces. And so whatever gift we are bringing to welcome in Shabbat tonight, whether that was a ride for somebody or a fancy meal or putting on our best clothes or just showing up, I hope we're able to do it all with a smile and to greet Shabbat with a pleasant countenance, as our sages say. We turn to Lecha Dodi and we sing together verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
Page 20 and 21.
Yolalai lecha dodi, yolalai likrat kala, yolalai pnei Shabbat, pnei Shabbat mekabla, yolalai lecha dodi, yolalai likrat kala, yolalai pnei Shabbat, pnei Shabbat mekabla. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishme'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad. ושמו אחד, לשמו תפארת ולתחילה. Kala, Yalai B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat Nekabla, Likrat Shabbat, Lechu V'nelcha, Ki Mekor Haberach. מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה יאי לך תודיעו יאי לקראת קלה יאי בני שבת בני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך כולי אורי שתדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה יאי לך תודיעו יאי לקראת קלה יאי בני שבת בני שבת נקבלה.
And greet Shabbat.
Bo'i v'shalom עצרת בלה גם בשמחה וזוהרה תוך אמוני עם סגולה
Shabbat feels very warmly welcomed. Speaking of welcome, right? So on Shabbat, we have such a precious gift of mindfully, consciously stepping back, even if it's not for the whole 24 hours, even if it's just for a moment, even if it's just when you are present for services, just to give ourselves the space, the spaciousness to be in touch with our sense of wonder. Josh and I will sing the Ma Gadlu round. Ma Gadlu ma'asecha ya me'od amku machshavotecha. The words from Psalm 92. They're on the top of page 342. Or we can simply sing Hallelujah. Wow. Let us praise Yah. Let us praise Adonai. Let us praise, maybe we want to call it the mystery, that which transcends our understanding. Whatever word, whatever idea you want to use in place of maybe the God word, which many people trip over, it comes with a lot of baggage. So I like to open that wide up to everybody. So whatever that is, you can call it mystery or whatever you like. We're stopping and saying, wow, there's something I can't understand with my intellect. There's so much that I can't understand. I was listening to an amazing podcast called Clear and Vivid with Alan Alda. Highly recommend it if you have not come across it. But he tries to, he works with guests to explain complicated scientific theories in an accessible way. And if I can understand it, so can you. Trust me. I almost flunked physics in high school. But he was talking about string theory with an author whose name I'm now forgetting. And wow, the idea that the music is, that the universe is made up of invisible strings. And this particular thinker was talking about the universe being made of music. You have to find this episode about string theory on the podcast Clear and Vivid. And I'm not getting a commission. I just, so anyway, that's what I'm thinking about right now, because it actually made me say wow out loud in my car by myself. So what made you say wow this week? Would anyone on Zoom like to share, or anyone here in the tent like to share? Did anyone have a wow moment? Just raise your hand if any of your moments this week made you say wow. Great. You want to share?
My wow moment was discussing all of you here were visiting my mom upstairs. I was so thrilled. I was so sad when we were going to this after I
That's amazing. Welcome. Where are you visiting from?
from New Hampshire, from Stratham.
All right. Well, please come anytime. I'm so glad you stumbled on us. And I don't know if those on the Zoom probably couldn't hear, but we have a guest here from New Hampshire who just didn't realize there'd be a Shabbat service accessible to her from right down the street where she's visiting, and she found us. The benefits of being outside. That's wonderful. Anyone else? All right. I urge you to find one, even if you want to keep it to yourself, as we sing Hallelujah and Magadlu, top of page 342. Choose your part. I'm going to ask Josh to sing Hallelujah, and I'm going to sing Magadlu. And you can choose, as you meditate for a moment, what made you say wow, even if you didn't say it or think it at the moment, at the time. Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 Magadlu, Masechaya,
Hallelujah.
Me'odamku machshevo tzecha. Magadlu, Masechaya. Hallelujah. Me'odamku machshevo Hallelujah, Magadlu, Masechaya.
Hallelujah.
Me'odamku machshevo tzecha. Magadlu, Masechaya.
Hallelujah.
Me'odamku machshevo tzecha. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Let's let that sense of wonder sit within us for a moment. Then we rise for our formal call to prayer with Baruch Hu on page 28. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able. We'll face east this way. And we're on page 28. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. You can be seated.
I think about all the compliments that I heard growing up for us about our bodies, and people would say, "Oh, you're so tall, isn't that so wonderful?" Or "You have beautiful hair, how incredible that is," or "You're so strong." And nobody ever said, "You have such big ears, how incredible that is." But as a child with big ears, I would have loved to have heard that, because I couldn't do anything about it. And I didn't realize that in some ways that is a superpower, that our central command in Judaism is to listen, is to hear. And so those big ears were doing something the whole time, and that was helping me to hear Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Adonai is our God, God is one. And we turn together to the Shema, and we recite those words together, using our ears however big and however small. And we close our eyes just a little bit to focus on whatever sound can come in as we say together these central words of our liturgy.
That inspired me to invite you to do something before we recite the Shema. Very brief, I promise, but you're going to like it. We went on a nature walk one Shabbat morning as a service. In lieu of a service, some of you were there, we went nearby into a grove of beautiful trees, and one of the things we did before we recited Shema was we closed our eyes and we counted on our hands how many distinct sounds could we hear. And don't just think, oh, I hear birds. Distinct bird sounds. If you hear birds or whatever the insects around us, right? See if you can pull them apart in your mind and notice and count. You only have 10 fingers, so you can get up to 10, but see if you get even more than that. I'm just going to give everyone a moment just to listen before we say Shema, listen. Okay, I want to hear what number you got to later, but let's turn to page 34. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. We turn to page 36 and chant Ve'ahavta together. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
actually want to read from the book, which is something I haven't been able to do in a long time. And if you'd like, please join me at the top of page 39. This is one of my favorite readings in our Siddur. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands and marching together. We join hands and we march together for Mi Chamocha on page 40.
So in a moment, having crossed out of slavery into freedom, we're going to just name and claim that even in freedom, needless to say, life can be scary. And our ancestors found the dark to be very scary because they did not have the electricity that can light up the night, the iPhones that we can shop from or chat from at any time of night. So night, remembering that for our ancestors, night was scary, but that all of us, one way or another, at some time or another, are afraid of the dark. And that we might have worries that come up, specifically during the night, if any of us ever have trouble sleeping, which would make good sense right now with everything going on in the world. And if you do have trouble sleeping, you know that things always feel at least slightly better in the morning. So we've been given this beautiful blessing to say at night, Hashkivenu Adonai, B'Shalom, let us lie down in peace, V'hamidenu, Shomrenu L'chaim, allow us, our guardian, to rise and wake to a new day. And here, those of us who are here in person are underneath a tent. So I love that we have a sukkah, some kind of a shelter canopy over us. But let's imagine a canopy that we cannot see, but that is so, so important to build, to create, to weave, whatever the image is that you want to use, to weave so that we can feel safe, that sense of safety and rootedness, which I think is what can happen when you're part of a community. As the world roils around us and so much is happening that is destabilizing, we have roots. We have roots in this tradition. We have roots in this community. And we remember that and we envision it as a Sukkat Shalom, as a canopy of peace surrounding us. And we bring that sense of Shalom and we weave a canopy of peace for one another when we do for others in whatever way we can to help them feel safe and secure. So we're going to sing on page 42. And we'll sing a little bit of a mashup with Bob Marley so we remind ourselves that everything is going to be all right.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Leshalom, V'Homidenu Shomrei. New L'chaim, everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Go to sleep tonight. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Just go to sleep tonight. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Just go to sleep tonight. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Leshalom, V'Homidenu Shomrei. Nu L'chaim, Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Leshalom, V'Homidenu Shomrei. Nu L'chaim.
We'll sing about that canopy of peace. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. That's the third line down. And then we'll sing the last three lines, all on page 42. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha baruch Adonai, Apore Sukkot Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Amo Yisrael, Ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Our tradition is filled with names and metaphors for God. As we approach the high holidays, we are going to tap into the images of God as Father and King, but this time of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is also filled with images of God as the tender of the vineyard and the tender of the flock. And the first blessing of the Amidah is in many ways a string of names for God. Elohei Avraham, the God of Abraham. Elohei Yitzchak, the God of Isaac, the God of Rebekah, Rachel, Leah. Hagadol, the great one. Hagibor, the mighty one. Hanorah, the awesome one. Magen Avraham, the shield of Abraham. And Ve'ezrat Sarah, the help of Sarah. And some people add also the God of Bilhah and Zilpah, the maidservants who helped birth some of the leaders, the children of Jacob, who would go on to be the 12 tribes of Israel. And on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, I'm going to teach about the God of Hagar and the God of Ishmael, which is the traditional reading for the first day of Rosh Hashanah. And so I hope we can bring in all of our connections to God, all of the metaphors that we use for God, both tonight and in this upcoming season, and expand our understanding of God, which is really beyond our understanding. And together, maybe we will have reached, in some way, a truer understanding of the divine. We turn to page 46 and we rise for the Amidah. And Rabbi Berkman will lead us in the first three blessings. We'll have a few moments for our own private prayer, and we'll return for a prayer for peace at the end.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha
Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו ביהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה, אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הצל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. הוא עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Take a moment this evening to offer a prayer of healing for those on our hearts and on our minds who are in need of healing of body and of mind and of spirit. If you're on Zoom, please share. Not everybody can be a hero, but sometimes you're in the right place at the right time. If you're on Zoom, please share names in the chat which you'd like to be read out loud. And if you're with us in person, please raise a hand or stand and share their names with us out loud. Spence? Thank you. Liesel, Alan, Marcia, Jerry, Susan. And as a community, we add the names of Allison Rim, Miriam Rivka, Bat Ephraim V'Yehudit, Linda Grossman, Cameron Lopez, Betty Vinacour, Claire Rafinu, Julia Hum, Elia Garza, Valerie, Gail Broly Evans, Cassandra Warshowski, Chaya Blima, Bat Chaim Chia Vasilia Ruchel, Jeffrey Colt, Laser Berger, Seville Pakalioglu. We join together on page 253 for Misha Berach.
Misheberach Avoteinu Mekor Habracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imoteinu Mekor Habracha Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
So we are continuing to march toward the end of Torah. We don't have too much left to go in the book of Deuteronomy of Devarim. This week we're in Parashat Ki Tavo. Ki Tavo begins this way. Ki Tavo means when you come into. And the first lines of this Torah portion are, when you come into the land that God is giving you, you shall take some of every first fruit of the soil, put it in a basket, and put it in the place that the Lord your God will choose to establish God's name. The priest shall take the basket from your hand and set it down in front of the altar of the Lord your God, and you shall then recite before the Lord your God, my father was a wandering Aramean. Does that sound familiar to anybody? From what? The Seder. And it continues. You should continue on with these verses. My father was a wandering Aramean. He went down to Egypt, few in number, and sojourned there. But there he became a great and very populous nation. The Egyptians dealt harshly with us and oppressed us. They imposed heavy labor upon us. We cried to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our plea and saw our plight, our misery, and our oppression. The Lord freed us from Egypt by a mighty hand, by an outstretched arm, and by awesome power, and by signs and wonders. And God brought us to this place and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And I now bring the first fruits of the soil, which you, O Lord, have given me. So interesting that the first direction, the first commandment, the first instruction in this parasha is to take the fruit that you gather from this new prosperous land and to give it away. And not to say, thank you, God, for this produce, but to say, their family's story, their history. It would make more sense to have them saying something to express gratitude for the fruit that they've gathered, or maybe say thank you for the sun and the rain that helped it grow, but that's not what our people was asked to do. They were asked to remember, and they were asked to tell. And of course, telling helps us remember. They were asked to tell the story of their ancestors, how their people were slaves and then were freed. What is the connection? Why were our ancestors asked to mark a bountiful harvest? By remembering their own roots. And what can we learn from this? Jewish tradition teaches us that knowing who we are and expressing gratitude are both intrinsically connected to knowing where we've come from. What long line of people and their stories preceded us. We're also taught to care very much about the future, even the far future that we won't be here to see. Sometimes it's so easy to think just about ourselves in this moment, to forget that we come from somewhere and that there will be generations after us. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Zichrono Livracha, noted that, quote, biblical Hebrew has no word for history. The closest equivalent is Divrei Hayamim, which means chronicles. Instead, when we talk about history, we really use the word Zachor, which means memory. That root means memory. That root is used 21 times in the book of Deuteronomy. You math wizards might recognize that is that's divisible by 7. 7 is a very important number in our tradition. Whenever you have multiples of 7, it's especially significant. So it's no accident that there's 21 examples in the book of Deuteronomy with this root Zachor, to remember. 14 times, again, math wizards, Moses warns the people not to forget. There's a fundamental difference between history and memory. I'm still quoting from Rabbi Sachs here. History is his story. Now, Rabbi Sachs goes out of his way to explain this is not the etymology of the word. Historia in Greek means inquiry, and in Latin it means actually a narrative of past events, just the way we use it. But just as a mnemonic device, history, his story. Memory, I love this as a mnemonic device, memory is my story. It's the past internalized and made part of my identity. History is an answer to the question, what happened? Memory is an answer to the question, who am I? History is an answer to the question, what happened? Memory is an answer to the question, who am I? So what's prioritized in our sacred text? Who am I? Memory. We are what we remember, says Rabbi Sachs. As with an individual suffering from dementia, so with a culture as a whole, the loss of memory is experienced as a loss of identity. That is why, he continues, this passage in Parashat Ki Tavo is so important. It describes the bringing of the first fruits to the temple. Merely bringing the first fruits, though, was not enough. Each person had to make a declaration. Now, this is key. Each person. This is a command in the singular. You couldn't have someone do it on your behalf, and it wasn't enough to do it as a community. Every individual had to make this declaration. My father was a wandering Aramean, and so on. And of course, that declaration is now one of the best known parts of the Torah, because as you said, we read it, we say it during the Seder night. It's in the Haggadah. My father was a wandering Aramean and went down to Egypt and lived there. So all of that history that is recounted there, we have all of the challenge and we have the wonder. We have the struggle and we have the redemption. It's all in there. But this was the first time the retelling of the nation's past became an obligation for every citizen of the nation. Sachs points out this was nothing like epic history engraved in stone on the walls of temples or national monuments. Nor was it the neutral, detailed account of events of the kind that the early Greek historians pioneered. It was simple, elemental. It was to be spoken, not read. It is compressed into the shortest possible space, the entire history of the nation, in summary form. And most importantly, It's written in the first person. My father, the Lord brought us out of Egypt. This is history transformed into memory. Sachs goes on, this is not a detached tale of some disembodied past. It is the story of where I came from and who I am. It is history internalized. It is what the sages of the Mishnah say, in each generation, every person should see himself as if he personally came out of Egypt. It is impossible, Sachs writes, from then to now. Identity for the Jews is not just a matter of who my parents were, it is also a matter of what they remembered and handed on to me. I believe that that is why we have come through these past 17 months holding on, whether from our Zoom squares or tipping our toe into the waters of being back together. So many of you out there and so many more have held on to this community, to other Jewish communities, because I believe we are told to remember, to tell and retell, to never ever lose sight of our roots, to really internalize them. History is never about somewhere else, sometime else, someone else. It is ours. It is memory. We see ourselves having gone through history, and therefore no challenge is too great for us. We've been through so many together as a people, even before we were born, and we'll continue to be on this long march of history together. From this parsha, I just want to conclude with one line from the parsha that I believe our Rabbi Emerita, Emily Lipoff, would conclude her services with, and anyone who was here in her time can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I think she used this beautiful blessing. Some of you may have this maybe hanging in your home. Comes from this parsha, and I want to conclude with it. Baruch atah b'voecha uvaruch atah b'tzeitecha. Blessed shall you be in your comings, and blessed shall you be in your goings. May we all go into this new year, going and coming with strength. Shabbat Shalom.
Yesher Koach. Thank you, Rabbi Berkman. On Rosh Hashanah, we will pray together the Great Aleinu. And so, as we prepare for Rosh Hashanah, we have to be okay with the regular Aleinu. Because how can Aleinu be great if we don't experience it week after week on Shabbat and during the weekday? And so we turn to page 282. We rise in body or spirit for the Aleinu at the top of the page. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol l'teikedu l'liotzer breshit shehu notei shamayim ve'yosed haaretz u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim ima'al u'shchinatu zo b'govei meromim hu Eloheinu eno v'anachnu korim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. At this time, we can be seated, but we will turn in a moment to Mourner's Kaddish, to remember those we have loved who are no longer with us in this world. I believe in the Zoom chat you can see a web address for our yard site list, those yard sites that are being observed within our community this week. It's just www.ohabei.org/yardsite. Not sure quite how we're spelling it though.
We got it coming to you.
Okay, we got it coming to you. Thank you. So I would like to invite anyone here or on Zoom who is observing a yard site or who is in a time of mourning to please share the name of those you are remembering. Spence. Thank you. Yes, Spence mentioned our beloved Rabbi Lipoff. Her grandson has tragically passed away, her grandson Zach. We have not yet sent a notice to the community, but I know that some of you know this, and we are so much holding the Lipoff family in our hearts at this horrible time. So we have other yard sites being observed that we're seeing come in on the Zoom, or people
Peter
who are
Feldman.
in mourning. Yes, of course. We're still in the year of mourning for our beloved Peter Feldman, Doris and Saul. Hetty are remembering him. Anyone else? Okay. For all those we have mentioned and those we hold in our hearts this evening, may their memories be a blessing. May we honor them in word and deed. And if it is your custom, or if you are reciting for a particular person or people, please rise. Page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divrei chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayeichon u'v'yomeichon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kori v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah muvarach, le'alam u'lalmei almaya, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. We can be seated. Actually, we still can stay seated, but before we make our announcements, we have one other order of business because it's the month of Elul, and it's traditional to recite Psalm 27 during the month of Elul, leading up to the new year, leading up to Rosh Hashanah. And I found it and now have lost it. Achat Sha'alti, we're going to sing a portion of this psalm. It is on page 358 if you're in the book, and the words mean Achat Sha'alti, one thing I ask of Adonai, Ota Avakesh, just one thing do I ask, just that do I seek, to live in the house of Adonai all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of Adonai and to frequent God's temple. What does that mean for us? We probably don't believe that God lives in a house. What does this mean to us? To dwell, perhaps where we feel the presence of the transcendent, where we feel a sense of awe and wonder, wherever we may be, that we carry a sense of what is beyond us, within us. However you want to interpret these words, in honor of the month of Elul, this powerful, sacred month, as we move ever closer to the new year, we'll sing these words at the top of 358. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Shivti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai. Lahazot benoam Adonai ulevakir leichalo. Lahazot benoam Adonai ulevakir leichalo. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh.
Adonai כל ימי חיי. לחזות בנועם בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו. לחזות בנועם בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו.
Rabbi Berkman, you asked about our moment of wow this week, and I got to experience mine during this service, glancing up at our beautiful dome as the sun set against it. And I hope if you were here tonight, you got a chance to experience that beautiful light and this beautiful scene. And if you're at home, that you'll have a chance to join us in the coming weeks when we have future outdoor Shabbats. Being outdoors and being together is so special at this time. And it takes a lot more work because it's not a natural setup. And so my thank yous tonight are big thank yous. Josh did so much to make all this tech happen. And your fiance is working behind the scenes to make it happen. So thank you, Becca, and thank you, Josh, for helping to make us be here and with beautiful music, and for people at home as well. To our clergy assistant, who is welcoming, along with our president, Mark Gale, and doing an excellent job of welcoming guests. To our neighbors who are being patient and kind to us as we bring our Shabbat music into the Brookline community. For everybody who's joining at home. And really a big thank you to everybody here. We can only be together if we are eligible to be vaccinated and we have gotten the vaccine. And so I don't know if you get thanked for that, but I really want to say thank you for getting the vaccine, because you make it safe for us to be together, as safe as is possible now, and you make it safe for those who are not yet eligible to also be here. So thank you for getting vaccinated. Thank you for wearing masks. Tomorrow morning, there's a bar mitzvah in our sanctuary, and you can access that via Zoom. And tomorrow night is Slichot and Havdalah beginning at 7:30. That will also be on Zoom, and we hope you will join us to begin this High Holy Day season. And
just lots of nice reflective music and a chance to discuss some themes of the High Holy Days together informally and just to connect as community. Go ahead.
Thank you. And just to tease a little further ahead so you have a sense of what's coming up, next Friday at 6 o'clock we will all be on Zoom because Rosh Hashanah is right around the corner. And we are going to kick off Rosh Hashanah with an Erev Rosh Hashanah Seder. And we hope you can join us for a brief service, candle lighting, and then a Seder beginning at 6. And the next morning we will be in person. So Tat Shabbat begins at 9. Rosh Hashanah services begin at 10. And there is a family service in the afternoon. And then we will go and do Tashlich together. And you're welcome to join for any and all of that. And on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, we will have online learning sessions. Rabbi Berkman will be teaching at, I don't remember the time, but she's going to be teaching about the poetry of the Akedah. And I will be teaching about the God of Hagar and the God of Ishmael. And we hope you can join us on Zoom for all of those sessions. So thank you for being here. If I left anything out, please add it.
Just that we do need everyone to register if you're going to come in person to any of our any of our in-person offerings. It's really important for us to plan to have adequate distancing and to make sure that everyone is as safe as possible. So please let us know if you're planning to come. Even if you're not sure, but you might come, it will be very helpful if you can register online. And we are really looking forward to seeing you at any and all of our High Holy Day mix of offerings. Excited to bring it to you from the sanctuary with whoever will come and feel comfortable being there. Again, having to be vaccinated if you're eligible and masked. We'll have our family services here in this tent in the afternoon. And so everything, all information is online. There's a lot this year, even more than is the norm, believe it or not. So thank you, Rabbi Schaefer. And we're going to now make Kiddush and Motzi together. So if you're at home and have your challah, your wine, your juice, we can, we'll be on page 5. Be on page 5. for Kiddush. Please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit כי הוא יום תפילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו ואכלת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. We have a sliced challah, and so if we have some hand sanitizer, which I believe we do, over at the sign-in table, we can all have a slice of challah. Hooray! It's from Blackers. It looks delicious. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lecha min haaretz. Amen. I hope that you at home also have delicious challah, or that delicious challah will be in your future, maybe for Rosh Hashanah. We're going to close with Adon Olam, page 321.
Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzir Nivra,
Yitzir Nivra,
Le'en Nasa,
Nasa,
Kol, Azai Melech Shemonik Adon. One more time. Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzir Nivra,
Yitzir Nivra,
Le'en Nasa, Azai Melech Shemonik Adon Olam, Ve'acharei Kichot HaKol, Le'ado Yimloch Nor Adon Olam, Ve'hu Haya, Ve'hu Over, Ve'hu Yeh V'tifar Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzir Nivra,
Yitzir Nivra,
Le'en Nasa,
Nasa,
V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemonik Adon Olam, Ve'hu Echad, Ve'in Sheni, Le'am Shelo Le'achbir Adon Olam, B'mireshit, B'mitachlit, Ve'lo Ha'oz B'hamis Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzir Nivra,
Yitzir Nivra,
Le'en Nasa,
Nasa,
V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemonik Adon Olam, Ve'hu Eli, V'chai Goali, V'tzorchem li V'tzar Adon Olam, Ve'hu Nisi, U'malus li, Menat Kosi Ve'omek Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'en Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemonik Adon Olam, Ve'ado Akiruchi, Ve'tishon Le'arir Adon Olam, Ve'ibruchi, Geviati, Adonai Ve'lo'ir Adon Olam, Adon
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzir Nivra, Le'en Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemonik Adon
Shalom, everyone on Zoom and the live stream. Looking forward to seeing you in the new year. Shabbat Shalom to everyone here. We can work our way over to the Purell and have